Hollywood sound effect. This is the music they play every night in London, the Symphony of War.
First of all, we started sleeping under the table when the bombs started dropping on London. And then they gave us an outside shelter, I think the shelter outside, just outside the back door. When the air raid siren went off, we'd have to, remember, they'd get us out of bed, we'd all be tired, get us out of bed and rush us down the stairs with a coat or something on, a couple of blankets. They'd be sitting there shivering because it's in the winter sometimes. So that happened 2 or 3 times a night sometimes.
Do not be alarmed by noise in an air raid. Much of it will be the noise of our own guns dealing with the raiders.
If you're going up to town or you're going down shopping, you never know when it's going to go, and you be, worry out the sirens don't go and I'm down the shops, where am I going to run to? Because you had to find these. They had air raid wardens around that would show you where the shelters were, but they were so crowded sometimes, it was a job to know if you could all get in there. But it was a bit of a nerve-wracking time. And I can remember going along on the underground up to where we were going, and there'd all be people, a lot of people in the city, in London itself, would be sleeping on the stations. They'd have their blankets there and their baggage, and they'd be all on the underground station. They'd be there for a few nights because either they'd been bombed out or the air raid was really bad, and they used to be on the underground station. As you go in past, you could see them all. Well, they used to live there, virtually. People who got bombed out in London, in the actual city, used to be they'd be rehoused with people like my mother and my aunt had to have someone. Now we had a couple. We had a man, a woman, Vi, and we used to call her Auntie Vi, and I forget her husband's name, but anyway, there was a couple there that had to come and live with us. They knocked the door and they said, "How many rooms have you got? How many children have you got? Who's living here? Right, you can have a couple." And then, as I say, it was no sweets or anything. I think my teeth lasted so long. All my teeth, that's no wonder. I didn't have any sweets. Man, I make up for it now. But, there was just 2 ounces a week. Imagine 2 ounces of sweets every week, and actually a lot to the next week. 1 coupon, 2 ounces of sweets. I used to buy, sometimes I used to buy those little mint imperials, they used to call them, little tiny mint sweets, mint imperials, because you had a lot of those for your money, and they'd last a long time.
The scene of events shifts from London to the countryside, where Tommy Atkins is on the march.
My father was reported missing. My mother had the telegram to say he was reported missing. All I can remember is her bursting into tears. And I wonder what she was crying about, because I didn't know my father. I was only about 1.5 when he went away, so I never knew him. And he was reported missing, and eventually my mother had a letter saying that he was in a prison camp, and he was captured by the Italians, and he was in prison in Italy, and then the Germans took him over to Germany. He was a prisoner of war there. When he came home from the war, he was in St Mary's Hospital in Paddington. He had to be there for quite a lot of months to get healed, to get well, because he was so undernourished and he was not well at all. Like a lot of other people, I rejected my father. I didn't know who he was. The time he came home from hospital, I was gone 7. And because he was there quite a few months. And I'd been brought up with my mother and my aunt and my 2 cousins and my brother. And he came home and life changed, and I didn't like the change because I wasn't used to it. He sort of took over the father's role, I suppose, when he came home. My mother let him as well, I suppose. And I just never got on with him because I didn't know him. It's like some stranger come into my house and they say, "What's your father? Do what he tells you." And I think, well, you'll see, I don't even know him. I didn't have any bonding with my father. I never felt anything for him because I didn't know him. I was like a lot of children who rejected him as being, couldn't get close to him, unfortunately.